Well, hello everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Story to Screen podcast, movie podcast where we review all different kinds of movies, both new and old. I am your host, Chris. And speaking of new and old, as you can see, there's this 10-year-old version of Benjamin Curlee sitting right there. He looks...
Up?
Hey, Ben, how's it going? You feeling 10 years old?
Oh yeah, I know, right? With this haircut, it's pretty short, isn't it?
Yeah, and look at me. I look like I came out of drug rehab or something like that. Look at the hair. I look like
Oh.
It's called age, people. We're getting old. Even though we're in our mid-20s, we're getting old.
Mm-hmm. It starts young nowadays.
I know. That's the horrible part about it. But for a 10-year-old, your next week is the big day, isn't it? When you're finally going to be a dad.
Yeah, my wife is due next week, so anytime now.
So it could happen any moment. So if she...
Yeah, so if we don't finish this recording, that's probably why.
Ben! Okay.
Oh, it won't be that quick.
No. It'll come out like toast. Like...
Yeah.
The words of Bill Cosby. It'll come out like
easiest labor in history.
You never know. It might come out like a cannonball, and then the doctor will go into the...
I hope not.
And the baby will be like, "Hey, I'm here." Whatever you do, don't have the baby from Baby Boss. That if you saw the trailer for that movie, oh my gosh. Did you have that trailer?
I saw the trailer. That's ridiculous. I don't know if I want to see that.
No. Anyway, folks, tonight's movie review is the Lego Batman movie from Chris McKay. It's the spin-off movie from the 2014 film, The Lego Movie.
Yeah, you know what
it must be great to be Batman.
Batman, we love you!
Thank you. I'm blushing super hard under the mask.
Batman!
Prego.
Thanks, Batman!
I can only imagine he's going home right now to party the night away, surrounded by friends and lady activewear models.
Hey, computer. I'm home.
One is the loneliest number that you'll ever do.
Master Bruce, your greatest fear is...
Snakes?
No.
Clowns?
No. It's being a part of a family again.
No, now it's snake clowns because you put that idea in my head.
Sir, you need to take responsibility for your life, and it starts by raising the young orphan you adopted.
I thought I was being sarcastic.
Hello, secret camera.
You know, I went into this movie very excited. I was very excited to see this movie. I mean, I'd seen the trailers, and I was a huge fan of the Lego movie from 2014. That was like one of the most, like, oh my gosh, like, that was like one of the most amazing, awe-inspiring type of movies I had seen ever since the first animated movies I had seen since the first Toy Story, and even The Incredibles as well. And that movie just had so much magic, and it was just like this a lightning in a bottle that nothing since then, maybe with the exception of the Peanuts movie, that it was able to capture so much greatness. Now we got this, and I will say, in the moment, I enjoyed myself. It was a great fun ride in the movie theater. In the first half of the movie, I really enjoyed. The second half, I had a little bit of some issues right there, and we can talk about that later. And but one of my main issues, I felt like in the first film you had Emmett and his arc and his whole journey, and I felt like that was very well implemented throughout the story and through the film. I felt like you had these important conversations between the characters and concerning, you know, the special and the so-called chosen one. I can't remember what he was supposed to be. The master builder of them all, whatever it was. And I felt like his journey was very, very well orchestrated. And here with Will Arnett's Batman, who's kind of going through kind of loneliness and isolation, and I felt like that was set up well in the first half. Second half, I don't know if that stuff was very well defined or as very well developed as in the other arc with Emmett. And I feel like, and honestly, another thing too, the unfortunate thing was that even after this movie was over and done with, I kind of left the theater and I was like, okay, had a good time, but then I kind of forgot about it. It wasn't enduring in the way that the previous one was, and that's kind of sad when I think about it, because I loved the first one so much, and then going to this one's like, oh man, this is gonna be so great, and I wasn't in a bad mood, just to let it be known. I don't know. It just didn't impact me the way that
it just didn't strike the same chords. Yeah.
Yeah. But Ben, I leave it up to you. So, what did you initial impressions? What did you think of it?
Similar to yours. I thought it was very enjoyable. Dialogue and humor was very clever. But it didn't quite have as much heart as I would have liked it to have. And that's really the only con I have with it. Mm-hmm. It was where to draw the line. It was predictable. Was it predictable because it was a kids film, or was it predictable because it wasn't well written or well developed? I don't know. So I'm not really going to make that call. But I knew where it was going the whole way through. But despite that, I enjoyed it, and it had me almost on the floor in laughter 5 seconds in.
Okay.
And throughout most of the film, it was a new little surprise, new little twist, just to keep you on your toes, keep you laughing. So it was a good, really good ride.
Okay. Okay, so you like the opening monologue with Will Arnett's Batman, with the kind of the Nolan-esque Hans Zimmer type of opening. I liked that, but I actually had a problem with that. That was actually one of my little beefs with it. It was like, I actually wouldn't have been funnier if they had left all that stuff out. And then you're thinking like, oh, are we watching a Christopher Nolan movie? What's going on? And then you completely leave his voice omitted. And then once you get to that intro, that makes it all the more exciting. I don't know. I mean, it's funny. I'm not gonna lie. It's actually funny because it's commenting on how these films.
That's why I liked it. It was so over the top.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. That was one thing I wasn't really that crazy about. But it's fine. It works because of what it's trying. Because it's a parody. It's trying to make. It's not trying to make fun. It's not trying to laugh at it. It's trying to make us laugh with the ideas of how these previous interpretations of Batman have kind of rolled out, and how the movies have opened. But yeah, I'll start with you. What were the things let's start with the things that we did like. What did you like about the film? What are the things you liked?
Stylistically, the way they told the story, I really liked. They emphasized caricatures really well and played them up in clever, humorous ways. Voice acting was spot on. Even the cheesy stuff, like who was it that was playing Robin now? I forget his
Scott
name,
Pilgrim from.
Yeah. No, that was really good. I remember in the trailer it kind of sounded odd, but it worked really well in the movie. Gives you a new side to the Joker that you never thought about, and that was hilarious.
Yes, I have a lot to say about that one moment right there, but go ahead.
Nothing big, just a whole lot of little things, especially the humor that I thought that is one thing that I think they bridged the gap between the Lego Movie and Lego Batman very well. I think they carried that clever humor back into it. Excuse me, I think they bridged that really well.
Yeah. It is surprisingly, though, how little this movie does reference the Lego Movie. I mean, you have the Master Builder elements there. I mean, like with him building a ship on the run, but there's not really a whole lot of emphasis, and especially like in the climax. I was expecting there to be a moment where him and his team were going to actually build something in order to keep the city from falling apart. That was one thing I wasn't too crazy about the ending, but we'll get there when we get there. I too liked Michael Cera's Robin because he was kind of a nerdy kid. He was kind of the kind of the kid that was kind of left out of the group. Yeah. And it's so funny too. He's like sitting there on the pole, and then he's like, "Oh, there's Batman!" It's funny. He's like that little kid that's waiting for Santa Claus to come in.
Exactly, and even though he's kind of trampled on, it's still the best thing ever. Because oblivious to it all.
I know that's what makes him so funny. Zach Galifianakis' Joker, I thought was fine. I mean, he didn't try for anything new with the voice. I felt like he wasn't really trying to go for something a little bit more. He didn't really try for what we typically associate or something new with the Joker voice. I thought it was Zach Galifianakis kind of from beginning to end. But I did love that scene when Batman tells him, there is no us. They're talking about the Joker's talking about their relationship. There is no us. But I like how it's starting off as like, Bane is my greatest enemy, Superman's my greatest enemy, etc. But I love that moment when it gets funny, but then it gets really serious. Like Batman is there. That's the funny part about that moment was that he's there telling him that there's never been an us. I don't need you. And that moment surprisingly worked in a very dramatic way. And I kind of felt like that was a nuance to I feel like it's something that's very relevant to the relationship between Batman and the Joker, because I think Batman does perceive the Joker as someone that he just views him not as a human being, but as an entity. He's like a fly on the wall. I mean, I'm sure he views him as a great threat whenever he's on the loose, but
no. In Joker's mind, he's more of a yin to his yang sort of thing. Yeah. But not so for Batman.
Yeah. But that scene was wonderfully acted, and I thought like that was like, oh, okay. I think that's where the movie kind of in a weird way kind of topped itself at that particular moment. And then the rest of the movie kind of didn't really live up to that moment, but it was still great nonetheless. You and I mean, you felt like the movie. We both feel like the movie just didn't impact us the way that the previous movie did. What do you think were some of the ways that this movie just didn't work for, at least for you?
First and foremost way for me was it just didn't have as much heart, in my opinion. There wasn't much to grab hold of. Batman, by the end of the film, while yes, he changed his ways a little bit and became a newer, better, improved version of himself, there wasn't that much at stake, it seemed like. With the first one, if Emmett isn't the one, then, well, everyone for all time is doomed. Didn't feel like that here. It felt like, well, if Batman doesn't change, then, well, he's still Batman. So, I don't think there was as much at stake that needed to be. I think they probably should have explored that a little bit more.
Yeah, like typically in other stories, they're seeing, like, especially when you get the family involved, when you do get the Batman family involved, there is kind of personal risk. I don't recall if this Batman was against having these kids in his life, Robin in his life, Barbara in his life, because he was afraid of losing them the same way that he lost his parents. Which they actually handled.
Yeah, that didn't seem like it. It felt more like he was just afraid of them getting close, lest he form an attachment to them.
Yeah, there was nothing like he wasn't. There wasn't any of that stuff. I didn't feel like they really defined the relationships of these characters as well as they should have, especially like it with Emmett and Wildfire. Flyer. What's her name again?
Wildstyle?
Wildstyle, yeah, sorry.
Or
Wildflyer.
Wildstyle, yes.
Yeah, the cute Lego character, the cute Lego girl. Batman's girlfriend from the other side. And then at the very end, okay, now, when we get to the end of the movie, you have this huge, the city's about to be torn apart by this bomb that the Joker is gonna plant, and then all the citizens they all just get together, and even the villains. Oh, here's the thing. When he lights that beacon, which was cool, because Robin gets his own Batgirl, and even Alfred gets his own, and he dresses up in the Adam West suit, which I thought that was, that was funny. But the moment where he lights the signal up for the Batman villains, I was like, oh, okay. I thought that was when he was going to call them the Justice League and all that, but...
Same here.
But yeah, that was something I thought at the very end of this movie. Here's what I thought they were going to do. I thought maybe either the villains were going to go into their own directions, or they were going to be sent to the Phantom Zone, and then they were going to break out, etc. And then he would have to realize, yes, I got to work with my team. But then that's when the Justice League comes in, because I think there is a scene in the trailers with Batman.
I know, yeah, I was expecting the Justice League to show up near the end there.
Yeah, and they don't.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of a little bit anticlimactic. Ben, final thoughts on the Lego Batman movie?
Final thoughts? Yeah, final thoughts. Really fun ride. Enjoyed it a lot. I don't think it's a have to see in theaters sort of affair, though. It's definitely a red box dollar theater deal. Definitely see it if you can there.
Yeah.
And aside from a couple of jokes, it is perfectly safe for children to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah,
definitely. Do I recommend the Lego Batman movie? I would recommend it above some of the other stuff that has recently come out. I'm sure Cars 3 is another great film that you can take your kids to go see. So I recommend it in the sense that if your kids are a fan of the character, I'm sure you'll love it. And two, it's a great alternative to some of the more adult stuff that's been coming out. It's like, besides like Batman v Superman or Suicide Squad, I think it's definitely more kid-friendly in that area. So I would definitely say go check it out.
Mm-hmm. All that being said, it's not a bad film.
It's not. No, what we were looking at more was we were kind of looking at on its structural level. Does it work structurally? And we felt like no. Surprisingly though, it has gotten excellent reviews. Some have been saying it's the best Batman movie since Begins, Batman 89, and The Dark Knight, which that kind of pumped my excitement. Like, oh my gosh, this is going to be really, not only is it going to be an homage film, but it's going to work on its own 2 feet as a Batman movie. And, I kind of put it at the level, even though I think it's much stronger than these, even though I think it's a much stronger, format than what this film did. I kind of put it at the level of the Bruce Timm, Batman the Animated Series, but lesser so, because I felt like it just didn't break out and reach for new ideas, unfortunately. So anyway, on behalf of Benjamin Curlee and myself and the rest of the crew at Story to Screen, we wish you all a good night, and we'll catch you next time. Cheers, everybody.
See ya.